Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm making a very easy pizza recipe. I'm going to start with the plain all-purpose flour. I've got a cup of flour here, so I'm just going to put it in my bowl. Cup of flour. Next, I'm adding a teaspoon of brown sugar. If you use white sugar, it's the same thing. Next to go in is a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. Okay, next to go in is a teaspoon of dry yeast. Next, I'm going to be adding warm water so the yeast can work, to get the yeast working. Warm water, not cold water, not hot water, warm water. I've got the water in here in the same cup I used to measure the flour. Now you don't want to put, I've got half a cup of water here. You don't want to put all the water in at one time. You put in a little bit first until you get the right consistency that you want. Now I'm going to knead this with my hand and I'll show you the consistency you want at the end. So you add the water bit by bit, just little splashes at a time, not all of it at one time, until you have the correct consistency. The correct consistency, you probably need around half a cup, a little bit less than half a cup of water, but just add it bit by bit so you don't have a mushy dough. You want the dough to be soft but firm. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I kneaded the dough for about 5 minutes and it's ready. In the end, I only used a quarter of a cup of water, quarter of a cup of warm water. If you feel the dough is too soft, like you want this kind of consistency, but if you feel the dough is too soft, you can add in a tablespoon at a time of flour until you have the right consistency like this. You want something soft, but you still, when you touch it, it doesn't come off on your hand. You want something soft, but still manageable. And now I'm just going to add a teaspoon of olive oil and mix it in. Teaspoon of olive oil. Okay, I've just added a teaspoon of olive oil and now I'm going to knead the olive oil in for a minute. 1 minute. Okay, I've kneaded in the olive oil. Now I'm going to put a lid on this with some foil on it to make sure the lid is tightly on. The lid is a bit broken, so I put some foil on it to make sure it's tight. And then you're just going to let it brew for an hour. You put it in a cupboard or somewhere warm for about an hour. And then I'll be back to cook it. I'm going to cook it on the hob. It's going to be very easy cooking method. Cook it on top of the hob or the stove, whatever you know it as. Okay, it's been around 2 hours and the dough is ready. It's nice and puffed up, as you can see. You can leave it in the fridge if you like overnight. I'm only going to use half of the dough for the pizza now. Only half of the dough. So I'm literally just going to remove half the dough. I'm going to cut it in half and just use half the dough for the pizza. Okay, so I've got half the dough in a pan like this. I've got half the dough in the pan like this. And I'm basically, well, you can, if you want to be fancy, you can roll it out. But I'm just going to use my hands and just slowly just massage it until it covers the whole pan. Remember, this is half of the pizza dough. The other half I put it in the fridge and I'll use it tomorrow. I'm basically just stretching it out like this slowly across the pan until it covers the whole thing evenly. Just stretching it out like this. Okay, so I'm done. It doesn't have to be too neat. It doesn't matter if it's not too neat since it's just some homemade pizza. Next, I'm going to put the sauce on. I almost put it on without showing you guys. So I'm going to put the sauce on. The sauce I'm using is a bolognese sauce I made 2 days ago. There's a separate video for that. My bolognese tomato sauce. It's always best to use cooked tomato sauce. You do not want to use just the passato straight from the carton or from the can. It won't taste as good. You need the tomato sauce to have been cooking for at least 30 minutes. If you don't like the mince I've got in here, because I personally love the bolognese sauce with the pizza. It's the best pizza I've ever had. But that's the way my mother used to make it when I was younger. I always loved the way that it tasted. If you don't like the meat, you can make the bolognese sauce the same way as in the video, but just take the meat out, and the chicken stock if you're vegetarian, and just use vegetable stock. So I've added about 2 or 3 tablespoons of the bolognese sauce, and I'm literally just going to spread it out evenly, thinly throughout the whole thing. I told you this sauce is on my YouTube channel. It's called bolognese sauce. I've made it separately 2 days ago. Just kept it in the fridge, and I'm using it on my pizza. Okay, I've added in my cheese. I've got mozzarella here, as well as the yellow stuff you see, that's cheddar cheese and mozzarella. The white one is mozzarella. So the last thing I'm going to add is some olives. You can add to your pizza whatever you like. This is what I like. You can add onions, red peppers, whatever you like. So next we're going to put it on the hob. So here it is on my hob, and it's going to be cooking for 8 minutes. First of all, we're going to check on it after 8 minutes. So we're going to cook it for 7 to 8 minutes on low heat. Now remember, low heat, you don't want it to burn. Low heat, 8 minutes. And you must put a lid on. I don't have a proper lid for this frying pan. I just use what I can find. This will fit fine. This fits actually perfectly. So that will do. Remember, it needs a lid, otherwise it won't cook properly. So we're going to check on it after 7 to 8 minutes. See you then. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, and I'm just going to check on it. I have not taken the lid off in those 10 minutes. So I'm just going to take the lid off now. Remember, don't remove the lid. I said it's been 10 minutes, and I just want to check. It looks good so far. I want to check the bottom. You see the bottom is still a bit pale. So I'm going to turn the heat up to medium low. It's still low, but this medium. And I'm going to put the lid back on for 5 more minutes, and it'll be ready hopefully. So it's been 10 minutes, and we're going to put it on for another 5 minutes, and then we'll check again. Because I like the bottom part to be a bit more golden brown. So I turn the heat up a little bit to medium low heat. So I left it in a little bit longer than I wanted to. I said an extra 5 minutes. So altogether it should cook for 15 minutes. But I left this in a little bit longer, a few minutes extra. But it looks nice. The cheese is melted nicely. Everything is well incorporated. It looks good. So there you go. Please like my videos and subscribe. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.